When news first broke that human bones had been discovered near the area where investigators and volunteers had been searching for missing Arizona woman Nancy Guthrie, many people immediately feared the worst. Social media exploded with speculation. True crime live streams started circulating theories. And for a brief moment, some believed the discovery could finally provide answers in one of the most talked about missing person investigations in America. But according to investigators and archaeological experts, the reality appears to be very different. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share for more updates. Thanks. The human remains discovered near Tucson are not believed to be connected to Nancy Guthrie at all. Instead, experts now say the bones may be hundreds of years old, potentially dating back as far as 1,000 years. That revelation has transformed what initially appeared to be a criminal investigation into something much bigger. A prehistoric anthropological discovery that sheds light on Arizona's ancient past. What actually happened? The discovery happened during independent search efforts connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of NBC journalist and Today's Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. Guthrie disappeared from her Tucson home earlier this year under circumstances investigators have described as suspicious. While searching desert terrain near Tucson, a live streamer reportedly discovered what appeared to be a human bone protruding from the ground. Police quickly responded. Initially, there was understandable concern that the remains could be connected to the missing person case. However, after experts examined the bone, authorities reached a dramatically different conclusion. The Tucson Police Department stated that the matter was being treated as a prehistoric anthropological investigation rather than a criminal case. The University of Arizona's anthropology specialists and medical examiners became involved in analyzing the remains. How old are the bones? This is where the story becomes fascinating. Early assessments suggested the remains were far older than any modern missing person case. Experts later estimated that the bone could date from approximately 650 AD to 1250 AD. That means the remains may be roughly 750 to 1,000 years old. According to archaeologist James Watson of the Arizona State Museum, the remains likely belong to a member of the ancient Hohokam civilization. For anyone unfamiliar with southwestern American history, the Hohokam were among the most sophisticated indigenous cultures in North America. They developed extensive irrigation systems, built large settlements, and transformed desert environments into thriving agricultural communities centuries before European arrival. If the expert assessment is correct, the bones may represent a person who lived and died hundreds of years before modern Tucson even existed. That is an incredible historical discovery. Why were ancient bones found there? Experts say the answer may lie in Arizona's landscape. The remains were reportedly found near an area already known to archaeologists as containing historical and indigenous sites. Researchers believe erosion and seasonal flooding may have gradually exposed the buried remains over time. Instead of uncovering evidence linked to a modern crime, searchers may have unintentionally stumbled upon part of an ancient burial site. This is one reason authorities moved quickly to involve anthropologists rather than homicide investigators. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share for more updates. Thanks. The human remains. The connection to Nancy Guthrie. One of the biggest misconceptions spreading online is that these remains somehow solve the Nancy Guthrie case. At this point, investigators have said exactly the opposite. Authorities do not believe the bones are connected to Guthrie's disappearance. The remains appear significantly older than modern forensic evidence would suggest. The search for Nancy Guthrie remains ongoing. Investigators continue to examine surveillance footage, DNA evidence, and other leads related to her disappearance. So while the discovery generated enormous public attention, it does not appear to answer any of the major questions surrounding the case. My analysis and opinion. What stands out most to me is how quickly modern true crime culture can turn speculation into assumed fact. Within hours of discovery, many people online were convinced that the mystery had been solved. Some even began connecting the remains directly to the Nancy Guthrie investigation before any forensic analysis had been completed. The actual story turned out to be far more interesting. Think about it. A search for a missing person unexpectedly leads to the discovery of remains that may belong to someone who lived nearly a millennium ago. That is not just a crime story. That is history literally emerging from the ground It is also a reminder that the American Southwest contains layers of human history that many people rarely think about. Long before modern cities, highways, and neighborhoods appear across Arizona, ancient civilizations were living, farming, building canals, and creating communities in those same locations. Sometimes a modern investigation accidentally uncovers traces of that forgotten world. At the same time, there is another important lesson here. Experts have expressed concern about civilians disturbing potential archaeological remains while conducting independent searches. Whether the remains belong to a modern victim or an ancient individual, proper preservation matters. Evidence can be lost, historical information can be destroyed, and families or descendant communities can be affected by how remains are handled. That is why trained investigators and archaeologists are usually brought in when discoveries like this occur. Final thoughts. The bones found near Tucson may have initially sparked hopes of a breakthrough in the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. Instead, experts now believe they represent something entirely different, a glimpse into Arizona's distant past. While Nancy Guthrie's case remains unsolved, the remains discovered near the search area appear to belong to a prehistoric individual who may have lived hundreds of years ago, possibly as part of the ancient Hohokam culture. In an unexpected twist, a modern mystery may have revealed an ancient one, and sometimes history hides beneath our feet for centuries before anyone realizes it is there.